what you rap. Rebel and I'm running every step. Took the game and left it on his head. Till I'm dead, I'm about to get this bread. If I give it to you, what you gon' do? If I give it to you, what you gon' do? Told you I'm a legend, what you rap. Rebel and I'm running every step. Took the game and left it on his head.
3, 2. What's up, guys? How you doing? We're here for another episode of Big Talk with my colleague Rashad Scott, me, Fred Biggie Smalls, and we're hoping to cover some good topics, hoping to talk about things that are happening and make you guys laugh, learn, and just have some fun during this 20 minutes of filth, flarn, whatever we cover.
Every day.
Why are you drinking a rain in a big sport?
Nobody would have known what it was.
Oh my God, this guy.
Product placement. Could y'all tell what this was at all? I don't think so.
We don't even have that in our line. It's you should be drinking Biggie fuel.
Well, I will after this workout.
Okay, after the workout.
After the workout, so I can be productive
after
in the rest
of
my day.
Okay. Terrible. Speaking of working out, we got a question from MFitMom on Instagram talking about what's the ideal training split.
I mean, just like with any other answer when it comes to fitness, it depends, especially what your goals are. Like, my go-to training style is power building, which is a mix between powerlifting and bodybuilding and powerlifting. And I make sure I get all my 3 lifts in while hitting my accessories like biceps, triceps, everything in between. So I try to do a split of my deadlifts, my squats, and my bench, and then hit everything else in between, like my shoulders and everything like that. But then if I'm getting ready for a show, depending on where I'm lacking. So if I'm lacking in legs, I do legs twice a week, make sure I got at least 72 hours in between. So like I said, it all varies, but what kind of split are you on right now?
The kind of split I'm doing currently is we're hitting every body part twice a week. So I'm basically essentially training 6 days a week. It's kind of tough on recovery, but the way we handle that is we do the first 3 workouts a week are heavy mechanical tension type workouts. So heavier weight, heavier loads. Not so much you have to really focus in on the workout. And then the last 3 workouts of the week are going to be more like pump, metabolic distress type workouts, where it's more about supersetting, higher reps. It's almost mindless. It's just about getting blood into the muscle, and it almost like helps promote recovery by putting more nutrients, more blood flow into the muscle. And then obviously we're still going to failure. But instead of in the beginning of the week, we're doing like 4 true work sets. When we get into the second training session of the week, we're doing like 1 or 2 working sets. So the intensity drops, the volume in terms of repetitions goes up. There's more sets in the beginning of the week, less sets, more reps in the later part of the week. And what this does is almost, like I said, like an active recovery.
I just actually read an article, I think it was 2 days ago or something, saying what's more effective in recovery, active recovery or passive recovery. And they did a study on, I think it was like 27 people, and they broke it down per training style. So they had more endurance base, they had more strength building, and hypertrophy. And generally across the board, it said that active recovery was more superior to everything else, in a sense of the amount of what they use the word. They said that you're able to get back into your workout and not miss a beat without you feeling drained or muscle recovery and everything like that. And it was like for endurance, it was a slight difference, but in regards to hypertrophy and strength, there was a huge difference as opposed to being active, just being passive and doing nothing.
Right. I think that in terms of workout frequency, it also depends on how much damage you're placing on the body in each individual work session. Because I've done workout programs where it was just physically impossible for me to do that workout for that particular body part more than once a week. And the volume might be excess of 30 plus sets. you're taking every one to failure, and you're hitting the muscle from every angle. Whereas, like now, we may do, say take back, for instance, we may be doing scapular retraction, dominant movements in one part of the week, and then in the second part of the week, we're hitting, scapular depression and elevation type movements. So like rows versus pull downs, rows versus shrugs, things like that. So I think it depends on how you plan it out, but if we hit all those different movements for back in one workout, it would take 5 days before you recover from that. So again, it's about how much intensity you're placing on the muscle in that workout, and then neurologically, it takes your body longer to recover than it does physically. So, are you just working out to work out, or are we making sure that we're progressing in every single workout? So it really depends on intensity and demand and how often you're going to work each muscle group.
And that kind of goes into another question I had somebody ask me on Instagram. They saw me post something a while ago saying everybody works out, but not everybody trains.
Right.
So that goes into a thing with video we posted last year or something too, saying how you see the guy that goes into the gym 1 year ago, and then 1 year later he looks exactly the same. And I didn't realize I was that guy for a little bit before I started taking my fitness a little bit more seriously by obviously working in the industry, doing bodybuilding shows just to see what everything is, and then obviously working with you, how my back, I'll post this picture all the time, but how my back looked like I did nothing for a year, and then got in prep for a show, my back was thicker than it ever, because now I'm training, as opposed to just coming to the gym, what do I feel like doing today? I'm gonna do back, I'll figure out what I'm gonna do when I get there. You never go, like you say, never go into the gym without a plan,
Right.
As opposed to just like, I'll figure out when I get there.
I mean, that's a big debate in the bodybuilding community, but I like to take, when you take notes from other sports that are about consistent progress, like, let's just stay in our same realm and talk about powerlifting or strongman. They don't go into the gym and haphazardly think, oh, well, I'm going to do this today. There's no such thing as instinctual training if you're going to continue to make progress over time. Because if you're training instinctually, that means sometimes you're training in a comfort zone. And because sometimes you just don't feel like training. So you come in, you train that comfort zone, you're doing movements you like, you're doing movements that aren't really as challenging to you. You might work hard 1 or 2 sets, but you're not working the body at an optimal level because you don't have a plan. And so that in itself is stressful throughout the workout. What do I do next? What do I do next? So you gravitate to what's comfortable. So I really suggest everybody put a game plan together. Like I had a lot of progress between the years of 2014 Olympia to when I was on stage 2015 Olympia and then 2016 qualifying for Olympia. And I attribute that I went back into getting a coach in lift, run, bang, Paul Carter, following the game plan consistently, not deviating from the game plan, and therefore when things weren't working the way we wanted them to work, after 8 or 12 weeks we could make changes, educated changes, not just changes because, oh, well, okay, I want to change exercise, but an actually educated change, and based on the data we had from those 12 weeks of workouts. Now we're with, I'm the guy John Meadows doing the workouts, and there's no guessing. The workout is laid out weeks in advance, and then you make adjustments as you go. I mean, sure, you might have knee pain, shoulder pain, So I did on my Instagram at Fred Biggie Smalls a couple weeks ago. We talked about, my shoulder was really bothering me because I had bench press heavy for the first time since I tore my pec, or since the surgery anyway. And so my shoulder was really sore. So I had a choice: don't train at all, or go in and do like an after recovery, which we talked about. And so we did everything at 50% of what we normally do: shoulder presses, side laterals, all that kind of stuff. And the next day my shoulder felt 10 times better because it's just about putting blood flow into the area, creating nutrients, giving the body nutrients that it can help recover whatever strain or minor injury you might have. If it's a major thing, you're not going to be able to move your arm anyway, so that's an irrelevant point. But if it's a strain or you stressed it a little too much, active rest, active recovery, that's always the way to go.
Yeah. Well, it's all good.
And when it comes to, that's all you got?
That's all I got on that specific subject.
All right. Well, just one thing I want to touch on, and something that I use for a lot of fat loss clients is something I've used for years is German composition training. Most people don't know really follow that, but it's the late Charles Poliquin wrote books on it. And the German composition training, and you can apply this principle to other styles of training. All you're trying to do is create as much lactic acid release as possible so your growth hormone, acute growth hormone levels are up. And through that, you increase protein synthesis and you increase mobilization of body fat throughout your workout. And you're talking about truly obese people dropping substantial amounts of body fat with almost no cardio in a 12-week time frame just by cleaning up the diet and doing that style of workout. So they're losing body fat, gaining muscle. If you just clean the diet up, you're not going to gain any muscle, you're going to lose muscle, which ultimately will lower your resting metabolism, which is truly the key to staying lean forever, is getting that resting metabolism to elevate, which is why it's so important that we do train with weights as we're trying to lose body fat. Do you agree with all that?
100% agree with that. That's kind of makes it harder for, like we said last week, with this everything going on, not having availability for weights. Not that that's an excuse, but a lot of people getting stuck up on the fact that, I'll just do cardio. Like a huge number of people say, I'll just do cardio this, I'll just do cardio that, and I can do these body weight stuff. Like even before all this pandemic stuff happened, that they're stuck on the fact of, as long as I do this, I'll be okay. But you can't get to your goal, especially you're talking about fat loss without resistance training, especially the way you broke it down just now.
Right. Well, I think it's funny, people will always ask, well, how many grams of protein do I need? How many grams of carbs do I need? How many grams of fat do I need? And, again, it's always, it depends. My level of macronutrient requirement is going to be different than Rashad's. He likes to do a little more running. He's doing a little more power building. So he's worried about performance, energy, as well as what's going to make him look great. So you got to combine the two. For me, and my goals, what I'm trying to do is all about how do I look my best that day on stage. So, are we trying to put on muscle tissue and maintain body fat levels so you're not getting too fat while you're bulking up? Or are we in a point during the diet where we're just about stripping fat off and trying to maintain some body fat? Trying to maintain the muscle so we don't lose it. So it all depends, like what I always say is a safe bet, and then you make adjustments from there is, the simplest way, and I swear this works, if you're trying to lose fat, multiply your body weight by 12 and make 10% adjustments from there, so either 10% up or 10% down. With that, I used to be a more aggressive, 15%, but I found that 10% is a more fail-safe way of doing it, so that if the adjustment is wrong, you're not killing the person. If the adjustment more times than not is on the money. So 10% drop either way, and then or 10% drop or 10% increase in calories depending on your goal. And then what I like to do to kind of start out with is put my percentages at 40, 40, 20. It's always a basic, sometimes it's 37, 37, 26, but that 40, 40, 20 is safe. It's very safe, it's easy, and then you know how to adjust. If you're not losing any weight, drop it by 10%. The trick to that is never go lower than 8 times your body weight, right? Because then we're at metabolic death. You're basically telling your body, okay, I'm not feeding enough, and now your body's in complete conservation mode, and that's what you want to avoid. So, playing with those parameters, you'll be pretty safe.
To piggyback what he was saying off of my goals and his goals, I like to train athletes when I get more excited about performance-based things as opposed to how aesthetic looks. Now, granted, obviously, I did a show to train bodybuilders as well, but my main goal is to train athletes. But then, like you said, when your goals are different, if I have an athlete training, let's say getting ready for football season or something like that, they're going to need a crap ton more of carbohydrates than somebody who's 8 weeks out from the show trying to drop body fat. Is because they are working, pushing their body to the max, might need 500 grams of carbohydrates to get through their workout and obviously the rest of their day, as opposed to somebody who's 8 weeks out and they have, let's say, 14 pounds of body fat to lose. So going by two different things is going to how you determine what amount of macronutrients you need, as opposed to I weigh this much, I do this, let's do that. It all depends on what your goal and what you're doing with your lifestyle.
Yeah, I mean, this is why it's important to have a coach. When I did my first nationals, I coached myself with the guidance and the eyes of Jack Osborne, who owns the gym here at Training Center, kind of mentoring me and just watching me as I went, and I kind of made my own adjustments. And he gave me suggestions, but what ends up happening is when you're coaching yourself, you got a mentality of I got to make it, and I was really lean, but I was really flat, right? So when I work with a coach, I'm going, why is he feeding me this much? Why is he feeding me this much? And again, I understand it now, but at the time, I was just kind of doing my own thing, and I'm going, why is he feeding me this much? And it was hard for me to trust it, but I came in on stage 10 pounds heavier and leaner than when I trained myself. So what I would always suggest is, and that was only a 2 month time frame from North Americans to Nationals, when I decided to pick up a coach. And the thing is, you can't see yourself objectively like other people. Like, we're always our hardest critics. So I really advise that, if you're in a fat loss stage for the beach, getting ready for a stage, trying to do enough calories for performance, trying to do enough calories to gain muscle but not get too fat, what I would do is, without question, grab a coach and at least learn how to do it properly, so you're not guessing, so you're not reacting. You can stay ahead of what's going on, and that's what coaches allow you to do.
And it's just funny that you said that, how at your time you're like, I'm just doing myself, and a lot of people have that mindset. It's like, and I can do it myself because I don't need to spend that money. You're at Olympia level bodybuilding, you have a coach. And then we'll always say, Michael Jordan had a coach. Why can't the average person have a coach?
Absolutely.
So that just always makes me laugh, though.
Yeah, definitely, man. I mean, the hardest thing in the gym, in the gym process that we talk about all the time when we're with clients is, you got to be uncomfortable. And, when we're trying to make progress in the gym with lifting, I have a saying, embrace the pain. And the reason why I say embrace the pain is because your body only changes when you put it through a challenge you can't already handle, right? So as far as muscle growth goes. But even as far as if you got a guy you're training to get faster, you're gonna have to put him through workouts he isn't currently used to, so that his body wants to respond faster, his strides get longer and he gets stronger, right? So it's all about creating more muscle tissue, more power, but all of it requires you going through a line that your body's not already used to. Once you can break that line and go past your current state of pain, then your body's going to change, because it's not going to like that pain. It's going to respond to help you overcome it next time. So people think I'm crazy when we do 5-second negatives and drop sets and all that kind of stuff, but you're placing a demand on the body that the body's not prepared for. And if you consistently increase the stimulus, your body's going to increasingly get better.
It's all true.
So, is all you're going to say is all true?
I mean,
all that good information, all you're going to say is all true.
Man, I gave some good information at least 5 out of 7 times you stopped and looked at me.
Well, I'm looking at you now. It's all about what you've done for me lately. So can you give me something?
All right, Janet. All right.
Speaking of, she's on my playlist right now. So feel free to comment below and let me know what's on your playlist. But what's that song she came out with? One of the ones where she didn't sound like she was whispering into the microphone.
Tell me which one that is.
Do you follow Janet Jackson?
What, recently?
No, like within the last couple years.
No, I haven't. The last couple years now.
Oh man, who do you like?
I listen to a little bit of everything, but what was the last person I listened to? Well, I'm gonna show my.
These aren't hard questions.
It's not a hard question. Or, all right, fine. Somebody looked at my story today. They saw that I listened to A Day to Remember. Do you know who that is?
Who's that?
Exactly.
Well, I know I told you I'm old, so
It's a rock band. Keep it simple.
Rock band.
Rock band.
Okay, yeah.
Yes.
So we weren't listening to that. But I was listening to Justin Bieber Intentions earlier. That's pretty popular.
I guess. I mean,
That's not your style either.
I listened to it a little bit. Like, all right, like after 2013, Justin Bieber.
2013. So you didn't like the pre-Justin Bieber?
Not really.
No. Okay.
I think it was the hype surrounded behind it.
Gotcha. All right, cool. So another question we got is dealing with ketogenic diets because I have some of my competitors towards the end of their diet process so that we don't have to drop the calories any longer and the body becomes more efficient at burning fat. We switch to more of a ketogenic diet. And that means that we're dropping weight, and let's just say one of my clients right now, Manny, he looks amazing, but he's got a small area in his lower back where he's just not getting harder. And I don't want to keep dropping his calories because I like his size, I like his fullness, I don't want to keep dropping them. But what I do want his body to do is get more efficient and feel like it can let go some of that stubborn fat. And ketosis is a great way to do that. And the type of fats I'm using, we're not using a ton of saturated fat because we want the body to assimilate and process through it as fast as possible. So we use a lot of fish, a lot of salmon, some avocados, sometimes nuts, but foods that your body can go through. And of course we do eggs too. So but by doing that in the last few weeks after being on a diet for a long period of time, it almost allows me to raise the calories a little bit, and your body will become more of a fat burning process. And when he drops that fat down, then his body becomes more sensitive to the carbs, so a little bit it go a long way. And we won't have to elevate his calories that much to refeed him. And then so his body's just constantly burning, he's burning more fat. His energy in the gym becomes better because, unlike when you're just on a carb-based diet, you run out of energy because your body's using all that glycogen that will go to your mind while as fuel during the workout. So then you're almost like brain dead. You barely make it through your day. But when we do switch to a ketogenic process or way of doing the diet, your body's releasing ketones to help your body, your mind as energy, and your body has a greater number of ketones that it can work with versus grams of glycogen that your body can use for energy.
And once you put your body into that state, even if it wasn't, even if you're at the beginning of that type of diet, your body's going to, at a resting period, going to want to use more fats anyway that's in your body, as opposed to constantly using carbs. Like you said, if you're in your workouts and you have a surplus of carbohydrates in your body, or even just to have the average to get throughout your day, you have that energy to get through your workout. But then if you don't, your body's like, okay, I need energy from somewhere, and you're already burning your natural fats by resting, but now you're going to start burning those more throughout your workouts, whether it be resistance or cardio based. And then along with that too, recently just read something saying how, though, as you get under, now obviously this wouldn't apply to Manny, well it could when he gets closer to the show, but as of right now I'm not sure where you have his macros at, but after you reach 2,000 calories, anytime you go under 100 calories up there, you increase your calorie intake by 1%, or was it 5%? I think it was 5%, where you increase your protein intake to make sure you sustain your muscles mass at that calorie count.
So you're increasing your protein levels 5%?
It's 1 or 5%. Don't quote me because I just read it the other day, but either the main part of the article was if you go under 200 calories, you want to constantly increase your
2,000 or 200?
2,000.
2,000 calories.
Yeah, 2,000 calories. Every 100 calories you go under, you want to increase it, I'm pretty sure it's 1%, by your protein in grams to make sure you maintain your muscle mass.
So if let's just say, to keep it simple, if I'm at 2,000 calories, 200 grams of protein, and we're gonna drop those calories by how much?
100 calories.
100 calories. So now I'm at 1,900 calories.
Yeah, so you increase it.
So I'm increasing my protein down to 220 grams.
Yeah,
that would be
yes.
about 10%.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah,
Okay,
that makes more sense. It's definitely not 5. It's
yeah.
definitely 1%.
So 10%.
No, you increase. You increase, 10%. Yeah, 10%.
Because if you increase it 1%, that would be like 2.
2. So yeah, so it's 10%. And you increase it to maintain your muscle mass every time you go down 100 calories under 2,000.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, increase. So, so he's doing basically where he's making small changes. Again, that's like a 5% drop in total calories, and then he's increasing the protein up 10%. And then obviously you have to adjust your macronutrients accordingly. But and we're doing that always because protein has a greater thermic effect when it breaks down. Right, so your body's burning about 25% more calories digesting protein than any other nutrient. Right, and we want to make sure that your fat levels stay. If it's a low-fat diet, or it's pretty universal across the board.
I'm thinking it's going to stay because, like, you can't. I'll put it this way: to have, you got to also account for your body.
You mean body mass?
Well, I was going to say body function with your fats and everything. Because you can't, if you're intaking your vitamins and you're just taking no fats and no carbs, one, you can't digest your fat soluble vitamins that efficiently if you don't have any fats in there at all. And you're 2 weeks out.
So if this situation we're talking about like someone who's shredded.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So at that level, as you get super lean, like I said earlier, and your body's carrying that stubborn fat, you do have to throw fats in there to get your body to be willing to let go of the stubborn fat, because your body's all about homeostasis and feeling like it's in a comfort level. So if we don't put any fat in the diet and you just keep dropping calories, all you're doing in that point is your blood sugar levels are low, so you already know your thyroid's going to drop because of that, as a result of that, which means your metabolism is slowing down. And that's why it's important to put the fats back in there to make up for the different calories, so that your body continues to feel like, oh, okay, I got this, and then it gets more efficient at burning fat, and then your body will be more likely to tap into that stubborn fat that your body's currently carrying.
Yeah.
Right. So that's the cool thing about your body. Your body will do whatever it takes to keep you in a state of homeostasis or as comfortable as possible. And the trick and the fun part as a coach is I get to figure out what manipulations I'm making to get your body to override what your body would normally want to do. And by almost like tricking it and playing games with it to make sure that your body stays running at an optimal level despite the fact that you're losing more body fat. And your body's trying to hold on to a certain amount because that's just where it's comfortable at, right? Which is why we say when you get to a certain body fat, you have to hold it there for a little bit to create a new set point, right? Because if you don't create and hold that new set point, then your body will jump right back up to where it was, and then to protect you, it's going to go even further, which is why fad diets don't work, because fad diets pay attention to one thing, having you eat what's going to allow you to what's the word I'm looking for? Eat some junk, right? So what does that do? It creates, you don't have to quite have as much discipline, right? And I'm not talking about fit your macros, because you definitely will lose fat on fit your macros. But when you're dealing with like
intermediate fasting,
I don't know how I feel about intermediate fasting. I know from a standpoint of overall metabolism, intermediate fasting can be good, right? Because
I'm basing it off of your Instagram story the other day, like how it's supposed to work and how people actually don't do it. Like they think they're doing it,
right?
But they're actually not doing it.
Well, okay. So when I did my Instagram post the other day, though, I was talking about competitors, specifically competitors, right? Because again, for general health, science, some studies out there that show that not having to digest all that food every day is actually better for your health.
Yeah.
Intermediate fasting would kind of take care of that, because you're either going to do, if you're doing it right, you're either going to do 2 bouts of 24 hours of fasting throughout the week, so you're eating 5 days, not eating 7, or you're doing 8-hour periods during the day where you're eating and 16 hours you're not, right? And all that's doing is you're having to digest less food, which means you're not creating as much inflammation, which means your body's not working as hard, which means that supposedly it increases longevity of life, so that you can live longer. Again, these are all health things, and I'm all about that. But do not get it twisted. What we do to look our best on stage isn't always coincide with health, right? And that's the same with anything. What you do to get ready for any particular sporting event is not what you would do just for an overall healthy lifestyle of being fit all the time, right? Because you have to, again, place your body through extremes, demands to get better.
Yeah, because like I always, my go-to for the best example in regards to sports is wrestling. How in high school, now granted I didn't wrestle myself, but I had a lot of friends that wrestle, and obviously I would see the things that they go through to cut weight, make weight. It's not the healthiest thing to do, but you're doing what you have to make weight for wrestling. Same thing goes in regards to getting ready for a show, or like you said, any other sport. And that's not the healthiest thing that you can do, but you have to do it because it's what you want to do for the goal that you're trying to reach.
Right, and even to expand on that even more, like there's one thing we did to cut weight. Because I wrestled in high school and a little bit in college. There's one thing we did to cut weight, but the part that kind of coincides that we were talking about with putting your body through extremes is like, doing 200 stairs with somebody on your back, wrestling hours upon hours. I mean, there's not a person at the end of the season that's not beat up, right? Because you put your body through hell day in and day out so that you can be ready for that 6 minutes of absolute unleashed fury while you're wrestling somebody for 6 minutes. In college for 7. So that's 7 at 4 and 3. Yeah, so 7 minutes. So the thing is, you're not about being in a comfort zone. You're trying to get better each and every practice, and that means you might wrestle and drill a move for 5, 10, 15 minutes of the wrestling. My wrestling practice be nothing but drilling that move out of a 2-hour practice, and that's because you just have to become so good with it. And it's the same thing. Why do we train 6 days a week to get ready for a show? Because we just have to put our body through the same things day in and day out to get better, improve, and decrease density, lose body fat, and just look our best. So it's all about extremes when it comes to sports. So the sports, what we do for sports is not always the best thing for health. You have to separate the two when we're talking about it. People come to me all the time, they're like, I eat healthy, well, I'm not losing body fat. Key point there is, if I sat there and ate nothing but chicken, sweet potatoes, and broccoli all day, but my caloric balance was higher than what I was expending, I'm still not going to lose weight. So thinking you're eating hummus and vegetables, or I'm on a vegetarian diet, or I don't do anything fried, all these things are great. They're great for health. But to lose body fat, it still comes down to one thing: I need to take in less than I expend.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't realize that. They think it's like, I'm eating whatever amount of healthy fats. I ate avocado this, I ate avocado that. All right, well, you're still 150 pounds eating 98 grams of fat.
Right.
You're not helping anything. So, that's a lot of people.
Did you say 150 grams?
150 pound person eating 98 grams. That's still a lot.
Yeah.
But I know people that do that.
Yeah, see, well, I don't know the exact percentage on that. So, but I get what you're saying. I understand what you're saying.
The percentages, they're not paying attention to that either. So you don't know, I don't know, they don't know.
Right. Well, what I do know is that everything we talked about here is kind of how we formulated big sports supplements, and especially with the fat burner. We talked about your thyroid levels naturally dropping. When your calories are too low, and then, so that's why we have which is 3-Dido, which is like a T2 booster. Acts like T2 in the body, helps boost your metabolism while you sleep, but it does not attack muscle. So therefore, we don't have to worry about losing muscle tissue. And if you look at T4, T3, they both attack muscle tissue as well, and the T2 does not. And we have the ZMA in there, which helps with increased growth hormone, which means you're going to mobilize more body fat from that. We have the CBD full spectrum in there, not an isolate, but a CBD full spectrum. And that's going to allow with rest, recovery, help you recover from these hard workouts you're putting yourself through. And then we have the melatonin in there that is going to help you with sleep. So I would definitely try this. It's Blue Heat. It's our nighttime fat burner.
Yeah, I still can't take that.
So, because
military.
military, you can't have CBD. But if you're not in the military, and I love all our armed forces, thank you for all you do. Thank you for your service.
Appreciate it.
But this is a great product to help with rest and recovery and burning fat. You had listened to an article this week.
Or
listened to an article. Listened to an interview. Sorry.
It was on Generation Iron. I can't remember who they were. We talked about it.
Wasn't it Mac Wesley or something like that?
I'm pretty sure it was. Saying how Mr. Olympia is pretty much dead based off of, well, one, obviously this year, and two, who's competing in it. You can elaborate more on that because that's your spectrum. But what are your thoughts on the Mr. Olympia being dead?
Well, I was at the Mr. Olympia watching my boy Brandon Curry win it, which was unbelievable. And that we've battled on stage many times, and I was really happy for him. I know his family, beautiful family. But it was sold out, I mean, how can the Mr. Olympia competition be dead? I mean, our sport's still growing. And we've added a lot of new categories. So the Mr. Olympia competition itself, the men's competition, is still the only one that can carry its own audience, and it sells out. People come from all over the world to see our great sport. And I think, everyone's criticizing and talking about the level of competition that was at last year's event. But if we looked at the Arnold, everyone was already saying Brandon Curry might have a shot to win it. Look at the year before when he beat, Dallas McCarver at Australia. You look at, he's beat a lot of great folks to get to that point at the Olympia where he actually had an opportunity. He won it. He took it. You only can compete against the people that show up, and I think it's really unfortunate what some of the past gurus and past legends of our sport. Why would you put down your own sport? I mean, I know a lot of the guys, and I've had the opportunity to talk to a lot of the guys that were in the 90s. I went to the 90s shows, and you know what? They glorify the 90s by looking at the top six. But if you go back and you really dissect those eras, there are a lot of people up there who were just good bodybuilders. They weren't great. So I don't think that era is any better than our era. And I think now there's more money in our sport, a lot more money in our sport. So, he's saying the Olympia is dead. The last 3 years of prize money have been higher than it's ever been. So they wouldn't be bringing that prize money in there if the numbers weren't there to support it. The level of interest in our sport because of the other categories is greater than ever. Don't get it twisted. The men's physique guys that do men's physique, they were no different than I was when I was younger. It was just that we didn't have men's physique, so you had to do bodybuilding. So a guy, you might see somebody who is completely unsymmetrical on stage, big upper body, smaller legs, because they just hadn't developed to that point yet. But instead of waiting to compete, now they can go and do men's physique. We have our client, Chris Pfeiffer, who's also a trainer. He had no legs when we started. We put him in men's physique, he starts winning. But now he's got legs, so we're going to enter classic. Why do we enter classic? Because no different than would be being a middleweight or lighter in bodybuilding, right? So now we put him in classic, and he'll grow through classic. And once he outgrows classic, then he'll become a light heavyweight bodybuilder. Because make no mistake about it, bodybuilding is still the meat and potatoes of the menu. It is definitely what's bringing and drawing the biggest crowd. All the other categories are great categories, and I feel like it's an amazing time to be part of the sport, and I think it's growing faster than ever. And I think that this year, obviously, with this pandemic, it's made it even more. It even points it out more how much everyone's missing it, because the fitness industry is primed to just explode, and our sport's part of that. So I think that guy doesn't know what he's talking about, and I feel like the Olympia contest is alive and well. Jake Long, great businessman, bought it. Dan Solomon, I believe, still has a big part of it. He's got great history in our sport, and I think it's just going to keep getting better and better. You know, and I'm working my ass off to get back on that stage one more time, so that I can have 4 Olympia appearances. I have 4 qualifications, but that last one I got 6, so we're going to get this 4th one, hopefully within the next year.
Yeah, well, it's going to happen, so.
But, okay, well, that's our time with you. Like, subscribe to the page. Let us know what you feel, what you like, what you didn't like. Give us your comments, and keep following Big Talk. Peace.
Yeah.